Ready for a deep dive, folks. We're talking Thunderbolts, that new Marvel trailer. Pretty much Suicide Squad, but
Yeah.
way more Marvel, right? And we're going to break it all down. Who are these characters? What's the plot? All that good stuff. Even if you aren't a diehard MCU fan, you're going to get a kick out of this.
Absolutely.
We've got two awesome articles dissecting this trailer. One from Forbes gets into all those juicy details, and another one that's got a real character-driven take.
I like that angle.
Right. So the trailer jumps right into it, introduces the team, and let me tell you, this lineup is killer. We're talking Yelena Belova first and foremost.
I think what's so cool is how Marvel's using this to give a bigger platform to characters who started off, more in the background. Florence Pugh as Yelena is genius. She's got that lethal thing going on, but with the dark humor, too.
If you think back to Black Widow...
Which you have V to see, by the way.
No.
Yeah.
She's sure. She's a stone-cold assassin, Red Room trained, just like Natasha, but morally, well, let's just say, she's got her own code. And now it looks like she's leading this crew. What do you make of that, huh? Her stepping into this leadership role.
It's really interesting given how unpredictable she is and the methods she's used, let's say.
To put it mildly, she gets things done, and the movie knows it. The trailer puts her right in your face, but she's not alone.
Oh, no, not at all. We've got a whole gang of Marvel's quote-unquote reformed baddies here.
Reformed might be pushing it.
Maybe a little.
More like working on it. Right alongside her, we've got Red Guardian David Harbour, the Russian Captain America, but with some extra baggage. And hold on, Bucky Barnes is here too? The Winter Soldier himself? What's he doing with the Thunderbolts?
That's where it gets good. Remember, Bucky's whole deal has been about redemption, right? Breaking free from that Hydra past.
Yeah.
So to see him now with this group, who are, let's face it, kind of shady, it makes you wonder what happened. How'd he end up here?
Totally. Is this him embracing the dark side or what? I gotta know. And it doesn't stop there.
Nope. We've got Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Those phasing powers are insane. Then there's Taskmaster mimicking fighting styles like it's nothing, although they recast for this one.
Yeah, which after all that mystery about Taskmaster's identity back in Black Widow, fans are definitely talking about that one. And to round it all out, U.S. Agent John Walker, he's like, if Captain America had a major inferiority complex and some anger issues.
Recipe for disaster, man.
Really? So we've got this group, powerful, unpredictable, each with their own baggage, their own plans.
Brought together by the one and only Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's the puppet master here, but what's she really after? That's the big question, isn't it?
Okay, so that's who's this wild team of antiheroes. But what's the threat? Who are they up against?
$1 million question right there. The trailer keeps the main villain under wraps, but both articles say it's Sentry, played by Louis Pullman.
Sentry. Okay, for those of us who haven't cracked open a Marvel comic lately, who is this guy? And what makes him such a big deal that you'd need the Thunderbolts? They're not exactly the Avengers.
It is interesting, right? It's like Marvel's holding back on purpose to build up the suspense. The articles make him sound crazy powerful like Superman, but with a dark side. And in the comics, Sentry's a pretty big deal. Almost impossible to destroy, but really messed up in the head. Definitely not somebody you want to cross. And you don't bring in the Thunderbolts for something small time. The articles even bring up that Dark Avengers storyline from the comics. Ever heard of that one?
Vaguely. Remind me what that's all about.
So it's basically a bunch of villains pretending to be the Avengers, right? To get what they want. It's all about messing with your head. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? You can't tell.
Okay, now that's interesting. So we might not know who we're supposed to be rooting for until the very end. This is feeling like Marvel meets like a spy thriller, but with a whole lot of moral gray area going on.
Exactly. And don't forget, we still don't know what Valentina's really up to. Is she actually trying to save the day, or is there something else going on? And those earlier jobs, Yelena mentioned, who were they after? What was the deal there?
All right, so we got a team full of wildcard antiheroes. We've got a big bad who's like Superman gone wrong and enough twists and turns to make your head spin. But you know what else really got me in this trailer?
Let me guess, the action scenes.
Oh, what else would it be? That shot where Yelena throws the knife and it bounces off like everything before it gets back to her. Talk about skills. What'd you think of the overall action vibe they're going for?
It's definitely got a different feel than some of those funnier Marvel movies lately. This one looks raw and intense.
And you know what? That's refreshing. Don't get me wrong. I love a good laugh. But there's something about how in your face this trailer is. It feels more real, like what we're seeing more and more in superhero movies these days. When you see it.
It's like they're not shying away from the tough questions anymore. Good versus evil isn't so simple. And the Thunderbolts, They're right in the middle of that.
For sure. These are characters who've messed up big time, but now they've got a shot at redemption, even if it's not the most straightforward path. It's classic redemption, but with that Marvel twist. Do you think that's what people will connect with? That idea of second chances and flawed heroes?
Totally. Everyone loves a good comeback story, especially when it's super-powered people with some baggage.
Yeah.
And with this cast, with this story, Thunderbolts is easily one of the most anticipated movies coming out of Marvel.
No argument here. But even with the trailer and these articles, we've still got a ton of questions, like who's really calling the shots here? Is it Valentina from behind the scenes? Or are these Thunderbolts going to go rogue? I mean, this isn't exactly a team known for following the rules.
Exactly. With a team this unpredictable, who knows what could happen? They might start off taking orders, but what happens when they decide they want something different? Or when they realize how much power they really have?
And let's not forget, they've all got a history. Yelena doing her own thing, Bucky walking that line between hero and who knows what Taskmaster's deal is. It's a recipe for chaos.
It's not like they're best buddies with shared goals.
Yeah.
This is like a ticking time bomb, just waiting to explode.
We know it's going to blow, we just don't know when. And speaking of unknowns, the Forbes article mentioned they pushed the release back to May 2025, partly because of the strikes. That's a long wait.
It is. And so much can change in the MCU between now and then. Who knows what new characters or stories they'll introduce, or even multiversal stuff. It's all connected.
That's what makes the MCU so great.
Right.
Always keeps you guessing. Yeah, it really adds to the whole thing, right? Knowing how much can shift in the MCU.
Totally. And it's not just the big picture stuff either. Remember those little details we were talking about? Ghost with the new suit, Taskmaster's new look?
It's easy to dismiss that stuff, but...
But it could tell us a lot about what these characters have gone through.
Right.
Since we saw them last.
Exactly. Are these just cosmetic changes, or are they hinting at something more? Like a change of heart, or even trying to leave their past behind. It's like Marvel's leaving us clues.
Right. And I think it goes back to what we've been talking about this whole time. This idea that Thunderbolts is all about second chances, about that line between good and bad being kind of blurry and what it really means to be redeemed. We're dealing with people who've made huge GE mistakes, worked in the shadows, but now they're getting a do-over. Do you think as the audience, we're supposed to be rooting for them, even if their methods are a little, well, you know?
It's the big question, right? And I bet people are going to be asking that the whole time they're watching. Are we seeing them really change? Or is it all an act? Marvel loves to keep us guessing, so I wouldn't be surprised if Thunderbolts flips everything on its head. Which is why we love it, right? All the mystery and wondering what's next. So to sum it all up for everyone listening, if you want a movie that'll make you think and keep you on the edge of your seat, a deep dive into a side of Marvel we haven't seen much of, Thunderbolts is the one to watch. It's going to be a wild ride, but it'll also make you rethink everything you thought you knew about heroes and villains and that gray area in between.
Yeah, it's going to be good for some serious fan theories, too.
Yeah.
I think we're all dying to see how this team changes the MCU.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thunderbolts hits theaters May 2025. Don't forget, until then, keep theorizing, everyone.